Hello, welcome to No Holds Barred Pod. What are we calling this? Bonus episode of Sal and Don take part Nigel Farage's PMQs sing-along? Not a sing-along, watch-along? Something like that.
I'm exhausted today. It's been mental. So, yeah, I'll let you know later.
Yeah, sorry. We tried to do this as a live stream earlier, but our tech didn't really stand up to it. So unfortunately, we had to bin that off. But we're back, and we're going to go through the entirety of Nigel Farage's appearance on PMQs. It's in the background behind Sal there, and pause and comment as we go along. And I haven't watched it yet, so I'm intrigued to hear what.
Yeah. Oh, live reaction from Don.
Yeah,
if you would like to see us do this professionally, like other people can, Ko-fi links below in the bio. Thank you.
So we're coming, Patreon coming soon as well, so you can subscribe to that. That would be a big help. But yeah, let's crack on and see what.
Are we ready?
Got to say, yeah, go for it.
It's the Times Chief Political Commentator Patrick McGuire. Hello, Patrick. Hello, Hugo. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. How are you keeping? I'm all right. I can't complain. You're looking very well. Oh, stop it. Intimidatingly well. Starting to feel a bit beefy. Well, don't congratulate me. Congratulate Eli Lilly.
What does that mean?
And joining us, a man who...
That means he's on Ozempic. That means he's lost a load of weight via Ozempic.
Oh, because after we mentioned how they were one of like $12 trillion companies the other day, I was like,
That's one of the ones that Trump's holding.
She's a lazy man, right? We know that much.
Yeah.
Surprising for a political journalist from the Times.
He gets a mention without fail every week at Prime Minister's Questions, but rarely gets to answer back, in chamber at least. It's the Reform UK leader, Nigel Farage. Nigel, hello.
Rarely gets to answer back because he has no coverage.
Well done for getting here, for braving it through the lawless hell zone of London. You've been warning about this morning. That's very brave of you.
It is brave, isn't it? But then, I haven't got to travel on public transport, so there we are. I'm safe.
Right, okay. Are you a fan of PMQs in general?
Yeah, I thought 2 times a week was better, actually. And that's what it used to be. The concept's great, and I think that it does get looked at from people around the world. They like the idea of it. But the way this government's abusing it, we're not really getting genuine backbencher questions. We're getting a situation where certain Labour MPs get lots of questions, other Labour backbench MPs get no questions.
I would just like to clarify, this has been utterly debunked, and Reform gets exactly the right quota of questions that they deserve for the amount of MPs they have in Parliament, like every other party.
Absolutely.
Just saying.
Yep.
And it's all kind of pre-arranged. I'll ask this question. This is how the Prime Minister will answer it. And so if it begins to feel full...
They've always done that, really, haven't they?
Yes, but the extent to which it's...
But now I don't like it.
Look, we should explain, Patrick, the way PMQs is structured, it's skewed towards the government and the official opposition, which at the moment, of course, is the Tories. So Kemi Badenoch gets 6 questions.
Skewed.
The Lib Dem leader, Ed Davey, with his 72 MPs, gets 2 questions. The Nigel Reform, who have, is it 5 MPs these days? So hard to keep track. Or the Greens with the 4 MPs. They don't get...
Disingenuous pricks, these, honest to God.
No, exactly. And the Speaker might give Nigel or somebody else, a leader of a minor party, or not a minor party in the polls, but a party with smaller Commons representation, a question every 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks. But it's entirely at the Speaker's discretion. So,
did I hear a rumour that Farage had a question today?
Yeah, I said that earlier.
But he chose to do this instead.
I think he was balancing.
You're not the only person I've heard say it.
Yeah, a question on energy today, and he decided to not
do his actual job. Right, just checking.
Exactly. One of his 13 jobs.
and his reasoning is always fairly opaque, put it that way.
Nigel, if you become Prime Minister, will you change PMQs? Will you put it back to twice a week?
I think twice a week works. Yeah, I think twice a week works.
He can't get to his constituency.
Frankly. And I know it's really hard work for the Prime Minister and the Prime Minister's team, because there's a heck of a lot to prepare. But I do think the public deserve it. And I do think it needs to be, I feel it needs to be more free-ranging, free-flowing, and it's not.
Would you also change it to give someone who might be in your position, someone who leads a small party in the House of Commons but who has wide support in the country, someone like
Woody Balls?
Would you change it to guarantee they get a question every week?
Well, look, I think the problem we've got is we've got a parliament that is now wholly unrepresentative of where British politics is. And it's a situation we've pretty much never seen before. The only parallel would have been a brief period in sort of 82, 83, when the SDP were high in the polls for a few weeks. Now we've had a position, where firstly reform, and now the Greens also attracting significant support, and yet virtually invisible in what's supposed to be the debating chamber of the nation. So there is a problem there.
Well, we've had a lot of people reacting to the social media posts about Nigel coming in today, asking why he's being paid to be on the radio when he's paid to be in Parliament. Full disclosure, he isn't being paid to do it. I hope that's not news to you.
No, don't worry.
Ripping up the invoices.
Speak to your agent. But I mean, you are an MP. A lot of people do think you are.
It's a lost leader for him, isn't it?
You're not the first Westminster leader we've had sitting in that chair. We had Stephen Flynn sitting in there a few weeks or perhaps months ago. But how do you, for yourself, justify being here?
Because I'm wasting my time. Sitting in there, because I mean, look, I have been referred to in PMQs by the Prime Minister 49 times. Directly, me, 49 times.
Sorry if I'm getting irritating, but somebody needs to tell him that it's not his job to be a show pony. It's a job to sit in his constituency and attend to the people of Clacton's problems.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's why he wants it to go twice a week if he becomes Prime Minister, because then he can get more world attention on himself, isn't it? It's absolutely so transparent. He's unbelievable. Yeah, I mean...
over the course of the last few
Sorry,
months...
No, go.
And it's pretty insulting stuff. I don't get a chance to respond. I can't see the point of being there.
I mean, you get it.
He never shuts up!
Airwaves generally.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. But would you sit inside a place where you get accused of all sorts of nonsense without any means of responding?
For £100 a year, yes, please, I would.
I'm not coming here as a protest. I'm coming here because I think, for sitting in this chair with you today and with Patrick today, I can make a more positive contribution.
To what? Your own bank balance?
Just a minute. What do you think Kemi Badenoch's going to go on today? Do you think cost of living? Do you think she's going to go anywhere near the big Donald Trump story of the week?
Well, the Tories were just as uncomfortable talking about that issue, Venezuela, as Mike Tapp, the Labour minister, and Keir Starmer have been. So it's very, very tricky. What will Kemi Badenoch go on? You can never lose money betting against Kemi Badenoch.
Weird how they don't ask Farage's opinion.
But there's a whole range of things the government's getting wrong that Kemi Badenoch can pursue the Prime Minister on as we begin this new year.
Obviously, Nigel, you don't want to be sitting there asking the questions. You want to be sitting there answering them. But if it was you today, what would you go on?
I tell you what you won't go on.
Does.
El Fatah.
Right.
The case of this Egyptian British dual national who said the most monstrous things, welcomed the Prime Minister, then attacked by the Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp until he suddenly realised, oh dear. Yeah. Okay. It's us that granted him citizenship. I think she will go.
Which is why they won't, so shut up.
I think she'll say that actually Maduro being removed is a good thing for the West. Does the Prime Minister agree?
Well, let's find out. We can get our first question now from the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And, Mr. Speaker, may I welcome the Prime Minister's efforts to advance peace in Ukraine and his drawn statement on...
Can't wait to talk to you about that shit.
The last few days, significant international events, the US operation in Venezuela, threats towards Greenland, and an agreement to put British troops on the ground in Ukraine.
Afterwards.
So it is frankly astonishing that the Prime Minister is not making a full statement to Parliament today. No Prime Minister, Labour or Conservative, has failed to make a statement to the House in person after committing to the deployment of British troops. His comments about making a statement in due course, quite frankly, are not good enough. It shows a fundamental lack of respect for all of us here and the people we represent. Mr. Speaker, the US is Britain's closest military ally. However, we are clear that the sovereignty of Greenland is sacrosanct. So can the Prime Minister tell us what influence is he bringing to bear with the US administration to ensure that is respected?
Mr. Speaker, let me be very clear about what was agreed yesterday, because military plans were drawn up some months ago, and I've updated.
One thing I'm enjoying is I get to see your Kemi Badenoch face for the first time.
Can't lie.
Speaking, it was like, yeah.
I can't. Yeah, my face don't lie. Sorry.
No.
The House
Sorry,
in relation to that. Yesterday was a political declaration that sits under those military plans. If there were to be deployment, there would have to be a legal instrument. Mr. Speaker, deployment would only be after a ceasefire to support Ukraine's capabilities to conduct deterrent operations.
Did I miss the UN peacekeeping force being like debunked? Not debunked, being eradicated? Is that not a thing anymore now?
Well, it's still a thing, I think.
Then what the fuck is this? Sorry, I know that's not what we're here to discuss.
No, it's
but,
fine.
you know.
Yeah, but we can now. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a silly question from Badenoch, isn't it? Because, you know, nothing's been decided. It's only a if this happens, this will happen kind of piece of paper. And
hypothetical, metaphorical, yeah.
Yeah, and if there's peace been agreed, it's not until then. So nothing's. I mean, as Starmer's pointed out, rightly so, nothing's going to happen. But yeah, I don't know.
Does the UN still exist?
Yeah, the UN.
I know Francesca Albanese's still going, but
Yeah,
is there anything else going on? What the fuck?
Not a lot. Not a lot. Not when.
Sorry.
America can just put a veto on absolutely anything they want, and then nothing happens, and that's what's been going on recently. So
that's what we need to unpick.
Mm-hmm.
And to construct and protect military hubs. Mr. Speaker, there will be a statement to the House at the earliest opportunity. The part of being opportunity, they claim they want to know about this, and they're trying to shout me down. Mr. Speaker, in relation to the House, if there were a decision to deploy under the agreement that was signed yesterday, then I would put that matter to this House for a debate beforehand and for a vote on that deployment. That is consistent with recent practice, and I'll adhere to that.
Patrick, the complaint there from Kerry Badenoch that Starmer hasn't announced this to the House. Does that have legs? I think so, to be fair, because
but it isn't an immediate deployment. He's right when he says it's just an agreement about a potential deployment.
Yeah, he is, but convention, and I think good form dictates that if the Prime Minister goes abroad and does something or says something on behalf of the government, he should give a statement afterwards, particularly something of this gravity. It's interesting as well that there was no Foreign Office statement on Venezuela yesterday. Yeah. The Speaker had to grant the Tories an urgent question. So it's not just Nigel who has issues with the way the government uses Parliament or the respect it pays or otherwise to Parliament. I think the Speaker would probably agree if we get him on next week.
Nigel, she also wants to know what the Prime Minister's been saying to Donald Trump about Greenland. Have you spoken to Donald Trump about Greenland?
No, I haven't.
You're supposed to be mates. He calls you Mr. Brexit. I'm sure it's not just because he forgets your name.
I have spoken to him many times about NATO.
For not Greenland.
And I think, well, this is part of the same debate.
Right.
You know, everyone said in 2016 Trump would destroy NATO. Actually, Trump, over the course of the last decade, has made NATO stronger. And, you know, Jens Stoltenberg, the former Secretary General, agreed with that.
He's extorted a lot of money out of other countries for NATO.
Yeah, exactly.
But over and above that, I'm not sure what else is going on.
If he goes into Greenland, NATO effectively won't exist any longer. But yeah.
So up until now, everything Trump has done has made other NATO members start to pay a bit more, start to take it more seriously. Greenland is really difficult. Very quickly, there are major security concerns about Greenland. That is true. The concerns are they're reluctant to have a NATO base on the north of the island. The real concern is they're going for independence.
There already is an American base on Greenland.
His influence.
So there is
behind what Trump.
There's a meteorological base still there. They've had hundreds over the years that they've got rid of.
They had 87 military bases after World War II, and there was a declaration between America and Greenland signed 1970 something. I heard it earlier. I'll double check on that. That basically says America can put as many people, bases, whatever they want at any point, and Greenland are like, yeah, no worries, cool, come and do what you want.
Yeah,
you're not buying us, but you can come and live here if you want.
But they've had them, but they've got rid of them, and now there's I think one scientific base they've got there, and nobody's ever had a problem. They're just more wants more.
Because
it's fucking
Harry Truman
madness.
tried to buy Greenland, and they failed in the 1970s, and then but since then, John Bolton was on earlier, Trump's ex kind of military guy, and he was saying Greenland will let America do whatever they want. There's no worries. There's nothing by going into Greenland they could do differently than they could do today. So yeah, that's a lie from.
And for anyone who's not up to speed, Greenland is strategically placed sort of in between Russia and America. And it's largely uninhabitable, but as such, it has massive deposits of minerals and what have you.
Yes, it does.
Which are becoming increasingly important because we keep mining them, but also we're running out of gold to weigh money against, so we need other shit.
Yeah.
But until they've secured this other shit as theirs, they don't want to introduce a new currency.
Yeah.
So
says some method clearly
Lie
to
number
threaten
1.
the sovereignty.
Right. I'm just going to put a tally up when he lies. When we call it out, I'll just put like a little tally up. That's all.
That's like the 3rd or 4th, isn't it?
Is it? Oh, I don't know. Okay, I'll double check when I edit. But yeah, I'm going to put a counter.
Yeah. Yeah, do that.
Of a NATO territory would be an outrageous thing to do. He won't do it.
But you've got a relationship with this guy. Why haven't you said to him, look, understand that your territory, your defence reasons for wanting more troops in Greenland.
Appealing to him like he's a human being.
Yes, it's giving people the fear.
Well,
you could say that to him.
Well, you may
Crazy
remember at one
talk.
point he was talking about Canada, and then he stopped talking about Canada. So I will use my influence as and when I can.
Understood. What do you think about the prospect of a Commons vote on troops in Ukraine?
That's definitely a lie, on all accounts. By every metric.
Last time you went to America, you had to film his car going past on the street.
And get superimposed into a White House shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
my arse.
Cool.
Great, Nigel.
Be a very interesting vote.
I would vote against. We neither have the manpower nor the equipment to go into an operation that clearly has no ending timeline. If it was a sort of Korean-style UN where lots of countries were involved, and we could rotate in and out, I might consider it then. But frankly, what you saw yesterday was Macron standing there with the British Prime Minister. Georgia Meloni was outside having a cigarette, not getting involved. We had the German gave a speech and said nothing. The coalition of the willing is just 2 countries. So this would be an open... Frankly, what this would be is a modern-day British Army of the Rhine. When we did that, defence was 5% of our national expenditure, and we were there for 50 years.
Let's get question 2.
Load of nonsense.
Mr. Speaker, why is today not the earliest opportunity? The truth is, the Prime Minister does not want everybody in this House to be able to ask him questions. So he leaves it just to Prime Minister's questions half an hour. On Monday, at least his Foreign Secretary stood up for 2 hours and 15 minutes. Yeah, it was a non-event, but at least she did that. He is scared of us being able to ask him questions. Yes.
You literally at Prime Minister's questions, you insane bitch.
Asking
what
questions.
the fuck?
That's mad. Oh, God. She's shouting
6
about not being
questions.
able to ask
Yes,
questions in the middle of a question.
I've also requested that we do need to know this, then. So should always be informed first. So I don't like the chanting. Let the questions continue.
Yes. What? One of them asked that he is here. He's got no choice but to be here for Prime Minister's questions. That's why he's here. If he could skip this, we know he would do. But back to the matter at hand, Mr. Speaker. We all agree, all of us here agree, I think most of us here agree, that NATO is the bedrock of our security. The future of Greenland is of fundamental importance to the future of the alliance. And I'm sure that the Prime Minister agrees that it is essential for NATO leaders, including and especially the US, to meet. Will the Prime Minister call for an urgent meeting of NATO leaders?
Yeah.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, she says she wants to hear about Ukraine. She's got 6 questions. She's not even asking a second question about what we did yesterday. She's got the opportunity.
Oh, she's all over the fucking shop.
No, that wasn't
Can
a
I
good
help the
response,
Prime Minister? You don't need to worry about the responsibility of the question.
Don't worry.
Is it-
Oh, she pivots like a mad woman.
Yeah, well, she always does, doesn't she?
Mr. Speaker, NATO is the single most important and effective military alliance the world has ever seen. In the 18 months we've been in power, I've done everything within my ability to strengthen NATO. We had one of the strongest NATO meetings last year, the summit, where we had more members of NATO and more unity. When I arrived back to the House to make a statement, which of course she asked for, her position was I shouldn't have missed PMQs. I should have empty chaired the NATO summit. That's how serious she is about NATO, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, so I'm sure you've listened to it. I'm sure you've listened to this show many, many times. But what we do here is we try and offer analysis as to what's going on. So almost putting the politics, your own politics, to one side. What do you think Kemi Badenoch is doing in pursuing this line of question? What's she trying to expose? What's she trying to achieve?
Well, what was rather farcical there was from both sides of the floor, it was questions about questions. I just absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous.
I told you we'd agree with them on occasion.
Engaged
that's a
with politics. I think Patrick made the point before we came live to the Commons
I got a bit sick of
that
that.
actually the Conservatives themselves are in a slightly awkward position over how they stand apropos Trump, Venezuela. She's given no clear indication whether they would vote for, getting back to an earlier question, troops on the ground in Ukraine. And so what you've really got here, what is really going on here, is frankly not very much.
Patrick, what do you think she's doing? Because, I mean, she seems to be trying to attack Keir Starmer for being weak on national security, weak on defence. That is not something on which he is traditionally vulnerable.
No, not necessarily, relative to...
Traditionally?
This was Labour leader, certainly. Yeah. I think what she's trying to do,
all right,
at least to some extent, is reprise her favourite theme that Keir Starmer doesn't know what he's doing, that he is vacillating, and also separately...
Hyperbole, we call that.
She tries to draw him out on the nature of and extent of his consultations with Trump or conversations with Trump on either of these issues in the past few days, because... if he stands up and says, you know, Jonathan Powell spoke to Steve Witkoff, but I've had no conversation with anyone, or Morgan McSweeney spoke to Susie Wiles or something, that is a quite chastening thing for the Prime Minister to have to admit in the dispatch box, I'd say.
I agree with that. That's the obvious next question, isn't it? Have you spoken to the President?
Well, let's find out.
Yeah,
let's get
I agree.
Can we just
So the question, Mr. Speaker, I asked him if he would...
I think that's such a disingenuous load of bullshit from Patrick Maguire there, if I'm honest, because nobody's speaking to Trump. Nobody. That's not Macron. No one. Not Schultz. No one is allowed to speak to Trump about this. So they know that fully as political kind of experts. So, you know, that's just such a leading disingenuous line into like Starmer being crap because he hasn't spoken to Trump. Trump's closed himself off. He only says he's only speaking to his closest sort of Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth basically about this whole situation. No one outside of America is getting any time with Trump. So that's really frustrating that they take that tone. Sorry.
Well, that's times, isn't it?
Yeah, true.
Or for an urgent meeting of NATO leaders. We can all see that the situation is moving rapidly. I also note that he has still not had a call with President Trump.
Yeah,
that is concerning 4 days after the events in Venezuela. But yesterday, he announced that Britain and France had signed what says a political agreement to put troops on the ground in the event of a peace deal in Ukraine. So given the Prime Minister is not making a statement about that deployment of British troops abroad, one of the most serious decisions a government and a parliament can take, irrespective of what he says,
I would just like to make it very clear to everybody that Putin has run out of North Koreans and is now co-opting people from India to fight on the front lines. So that's how much of a clear and present danger they are.
Irrespective of what he says, can he at least confirm how many troops would be sent to Ukraine and whether they would be in a combat role?
After the combat's finished.
I was with NATO allies yesterday.
Make it make sense.
All day, in which we were discussing security in Europe, in particularly security guarantees for Ukraine, and we made significant progress. And I'm glad that she has welcomed that. Of course, I will speak to President Trump. I spoke to his senior advisors yesterday. We were with them all day. But Mr. Speaker, she asked me about the deployment. We released the statement yesterday. It's clear from that, but I will be clear with the House that there would only be deployment after a ceasefire. It would be to support Ukraine's capabilities, would be to conduct deterrence operations, and to construct and protect military hubs. The number will be determined in accordance with our military.
So we're building bases in Ukraine. That's what you're saying.
To other members to support. Probably. So the number I will put before the House. I can see
the
more than that. if we went as far as
Logic
a legal
in that.
instrument to deploy, which would be necessary, I would then have a debate in this House so all members know
However,
exactly what we're doing, make their points of view, and then we would have a vote in this House on the issue, which to my mind is the proper procedure in a situation such as this.
Patrick, without wanting to go too deep into a metaphor, what she's doing is she's parking her tanks on his lawn, isn't she? Because she knows that one of the areas in which he is perceived as being strong is on foreign policy. Well, perhaps the early area which is perceived as strong. Also, you know, great jokes. And she's trying to chop that away. Well, exactly, because let's look at this in the context of the big question of the Prime Minister's leadership. What is the one thing that is staying the hand of the challengers? The idea that Keir Starmer, unlike the rest of them, can speak to Donald Trump, that he fits seamlessly into, knows all the characters, is the only person with the requisite gravitas or experience. If you're West Streeting listening to the Prime Minister say he hasn't spoken to Trump since, he invaded Venezuela on Saturday and sent a SWAT team into Caracas, you're thinking, well, hang on, what's stopping me from subbing in for him here? Yeah. So it's I think it's quite shrewd from Kevin Bednar. Yeah. No, I think that's probably right.
West Streeting sponsored by the Times by any chance?
I'll tell you, he isn't sponsored by who's having a good week. Lewis Goodall.
Yeah, he did. He is actually.
Absolutely skewered him, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I heard him this afternoon as well. I've got a good tank fact. Like I heard earlier, they were talking about tanks. The US Army, the UK Army has only got 70,000 members now, the lowest it's been since 1800 and something.
That's going to come up, and I'm going to ask everyone to bookmark it, because I'm going to bring it full circle at the end, something Nigel Farage can't fucking do.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
I think she missed
Britain have only got.
I'm sorry.
Britain have only got 147 tanks. That's it. Russia are making 300 every year at the moment. We've only got 147.
Well, are they really?
Apparently.
Russia are making them in-house because Russia's labour market is in the ground because there's nobody to work in them because they're all frontline and dead.
Yeah.
So, I'd take that with a lot of salt.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, go on. No, I do, because I understand, right, she's pushing on this, and he's perceived to be doing well on the world stage, and Trump likes him, and blah-de-blah.
Do you not think he's doing quite well on the world stage?
Well, have a look at yesterday. Really interesting yesterday. The statement that he gave in Paris when he was on that platform, he couldn't speak for more than 2 seconds without looking down at pre-prepared notes. So it didn't strike me as a man who come out of a meeting feeling, wow, we've really done something. If I'd been Kelly Baydar, I'd have said, what are you doing?
If you've just come out of a meeting on a live situation and you haven't written notes, you better have a super brain.
That's like David Davis on the Brexit negotiations when he sat there with not even a pen, and everyone else was it what's his face? Barnier was there with documents and aides, and David Davis just sat there. You're right.
Flying by the seat of his pants.
Yeah. So if Starmer did that, we'd be like, you fucking what? But the fact that he's he wants to get the detail correct when he announces to the world what he just decided.
And now you're trying to criticise him for that.
Yeah, I know, fuck's sake.
There's a lot you can criticise him for. That ain't one of them.
Yeah.
You had a very successful day yesterday. Tell me, Prime Minister, how many members are there of the coalition of the willing? Because that would actually suggest that, in fact,
you just said there were two.
He'd done pretty badly yesterday.
You said earlier that sending troops to Ukraine would be like having the army of the Rhine again, British troops in the Rhine. Does that mean you think we shouldn't do it?
Under the current terms, with the current strength of the British Army,
but mark this
state of our kit, if this comes to a vote in the House of Commons, I will vote against.
But if we had, why would you not vote for us to increase the strength of the British Army and then do it?
No, because this government already has promised to increase defence spending and hasn't done so. I do repeat the point, though. If the coalition of the willing was 8, 10, a dozen countries, and we could rotate battalions through, then I might well say, yeah, absolutely, let's do it.
France, Germany, UK, Canada,
Poland.
It's 4 off the top of my head.
What do you say to Keir Starmer when next week or whenever he says, enough said, Nigel Farage doesn't want to send British troops to defend a free Ukraine, repeat to fade all the things he says about you, Russia?
Well, he might try and do that. It's all complete nonsense, but he might try and do that. Look, I would say
say
that to the Prime Minister. Show us the coalition of the willing. Show us who they are. You've championed this. You've boasted about this. Show me who they are. I might change my mind.
I was just going to do that.
Speaking of Russia, because we started with the first question, we missed the reform joke that Keir Starmer made beforehand. We're a big fan of Keir Starmer's jokes.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm going to read out whether I'll be able to deliver it as well as he did.
Oh, he's so
countries.
good, isn't he?
In the coalition of the willing.
Yeah, so 35 countries are currently partaking in the coalition of the willing. 35. Not 2.
So he's lied 3 times just on that.
Yeah. Absolutely madness.
Unbelievable. Well, it's not unbelievable, but it's...
Well, it's not. Yeah.
He started by saying he hopes all MPs had a happy Christmas. It probably feels like a long time ago, he says, but not for Reform UK, because today is the day they celebrate Christmas in Russia.
Oh, well, there we are. Our Beijing-obsessed Prime Minister with serious questions to answer about his
Beijing.
administration links to the Chinese Communist Party. Can have whatever fun he likes.
One does see online, people are still extremely exercised about, former members of your former parties, people like Nathan Gill, who've had their sort of Russian complications. Does that begin to worry you?
Mr. Gill has not had a Russian complication. He's been an outright crook.
Traitor's the word you're looking for. Traitor.
Of course, not somebody that I've had anything to do with for years, but he did it as a UK MEP. And I can't get away from that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get away from the fact that
You'd
one
love
of
to,
my
though.
people behaved in a corrupt manner. He's hardly unique in that. It doesn't make it any better. The other bigger nonsense is that I'm soft on Putin, which is utter rubbish. I said in 2013 I admired him as a political operator, didn't like him as a human being. And frankly, his behaviour over the course of the last few months, when it comes to any sort of peace negotiation, gets worse and worse and worse.
Months.
And in many ways, he's becoming increasingly dangerous.
Who do you think?
Or cornered. So that I'm soft on Russia. One
Recently.
of the Prime Minister's myths.
I think it was 2015 or 2016.
In party management terms, you're going to have to be finding an awful lot of candidates soon. There must be a bit of you that's going, I'm going to need to check these guys. There could be more of this kind of stuff out there.
Well, look, you've got currently, we're careful legally, but there is a Labour MP at the moment under the most serious charges any MP has faced for over a century. I won't go into what they are or what constituency it is. So, having MPs that get into legal trouble or personal trouble is hardly unique or new. All I can say
that's all right, then.
is...
If that's the MP I'm thinking of, it's for charges similar to those levelled at Trump.
Oh, is it? I don't know.
And he resigned last year from the Labour Party, I think. I think it's the I read something yesterday, and it, yeah.
Oh, right.
He's an absolute wrong and
Wow.
rapist, I think.
Oh, tell me off air.
I think it's pedophilia business.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of him.
Oh, okay.
But he's doing exactly what Trump has done, has never sued anybody for calling him it, type thing. So,
okay.
Just saying.
But we will, when it comes to our general election candidates, be applying the most rigorous standards that have ever been applied by any party ever, because we will be held to a higher standard.
I don't know what number like that is, but
let's get question 4.
Mr. Speaker, it is clear that the Prime Minister either does not have the detail or does not want to give us the detail. Yes. But this is important. He should be calling an urgent meeting of NATO leaders. He should have spoken to President Trump by now. This is important because if any such peace deal is breached, we would be in direct conflict with Russia. If the Prime Minister is committing troops, he must give more detail on how he intends to ensure our armed forces are fully resourced. Before the budget, the Prime Minister said it was his ambition to spend 3% on defence in the next Parliament. That could be as late as 2034. It is time to move from ambition to commitment. We have now had the budget. So can the Prime Minister now tell us, in what year will the UK spend 3% of GDP on defence?
Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, just on this serious issue she puts to me in relation to in relation to security guarantees and the American role and our dialogue with the Americans. I can assure the House, I spoke to President Trump twice over the Christmas period in relation to this specific issue, along with members of the E3, along with European allies. That has been a constant course of our discussion. There's no question of acting on this without full discussion with the Americans. And their senior negotiators were there at President Trump's request yesterday and on his instructions, and they were talking to him during the course of yesterday as we negotiated. So to assure the House, because it is a serious position she's putting to me, on the question of security guarantees, there is nothing between the UK and the US, and we've been constantly discussing this over many, many weeks and months. We've made huge progress. I have personally spoken to President Trump about it on 2 occasions since we were last in this House. I do want to reassure her and the House in relation to that really important issue. Yeah. In relation to defence spend, I'm proud that we're investing to keep our country safe. We have increased the defence spend that's provided for in the budget. It's the biggest sustained increase in defence spending since the Cold War. And that means, Mr. Speaker, better kit, better housing for our forces, and better defence as an engine for growth. Mr. Speaker, that does compare to their record. Ben Wallace, who was on the radio this morning, the longest-serving Conservative Defence Secretary, admitted that on their watch, the armed services had been, in his words, hollowed out.
True.
Cuts. That's what's going to happen.
Chris Carter, you expect a lot. I expect something back, and that's silence. Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the shame. I'll pass that on to Ben Wallace. Mr. Speaker, the defence spending that we've put in place is 3 years earlier than the unfunded plan that they left behind at the last election.
Nigel, I noticed you nodded along in approval. Yeah. The Prime Minister spoke there, which is something I don't think I've seen before.
Well, no, I have to tell you, it's very interesting because time and time again, Kemi Badenoch gets up. She says the Luton plant's closing because of EV mandates, to which the Prime Minister says, yes, they're your EV mandates. Issue after issue after issue. And here's another one where I think Kemi Badenoch's position ultimately is impossible. The Tory record is so bad on this. They were spending less on defence at the end of their time.
Oh.
This is what we talk about every week, is the Tories, Kemi Badenoch attacking the Prime Minister and the government for their fucking bullshit that they left behind. The army stuff, the defence spending, like, she cannot stand up and stop castigating him for that when they were sending troops to Afghanistan with like holy boots and really defective equipment and weaponry and vehicles.
Oh, they're disgusting.
That's absolutely horrendous. Oh God, I've agreed with Farage twice. Sorry, just had to get in there and say that. But yeah,
no,
right.
But the difference is he would not be any different.
Oh no,
and we know this
without a doubt. But yeah, it's
so
frustrating when she does that. It's horrible.
It's than
the Gordon Brown government was spending in 2010. And so again and again and again, whether it's tax, whether it's small boats, whether it's defence,
right.
She can say one thing, but their record was the opposite. And that's where Starmer...
And the fun bit is, he's saying this because he's trying to make out like Reform are different when they're packed entirely with ex-fucking Tories.
Yeah, 98% ex-Tories who were responsible for the shit that he's now having to go at. Yeah.
He's able to hit back at her every single week. And prior to that, they were talking about the peace deal. I mean, remember, all of this boots on the ground stuff is all subject to a peace deal.
Sure.
And a peace deal that we are irrelevant in.
Patrick, what are you making of all this?
Well, note that he didn't answer the question on when they'll hit 3% of GDP on defence, which I think is very tricky for the Prime Minister, as always tricky for Labour governments. Remember, well, none of us were alive, but, we...
No, I know what's coming, and I'm just bracing myself.
Gateskill, as Chancellor, increased defence spending to pay for the Korean War. They had to introduce prescription charges, and it blew up the Labour government. So, I mean, it's a very interesting political challenge for the Labour Party in particular. But, Nigel, thinking about the prospect of a reform government, how difficult is cranking up that defence spending and not hitting other parts of the state?
Well, right.
Does it have to be the ultimate priority?
I think you have to decide what your priorities are. You have to mean it. I mean, the Prime Minister's answer there was jam tomorrow, basically. Yeah. That's really what it was. Look, I think the ultimate truth and what we're going to have to put to people, and it won't be that easy, is we have to significantly cut the welfare bill.
Cut the welfare bill to pay for the
No! No! Right.
Oh,
Remember
what a
before?
surprise.
Remember before when he was bemoaning the lack of manpower in the army, and then you came up with the figures and said that the British Army's never been smaller?
Right,
Okay,
yeah.
well, here's the thing. I have to crush my grape while I say this because I never got to go to university,
Yeah.
and, these people fucking did. And I just don't get it. So what happens is when you invoke austerity for 15 years and you make the lives of the poorest people very difficult, and you spend all that time invoking a culture war that divides communities and groups of people so that they're all fighting so they can't see that you're all taking all the money. Do you know what happens with those people's loyalty to that country? Do you know how many people then don't see the army as a way out of poverty because they know their governments hate them and despise them and don't give two shits about them? Lack of uptake in the army, you imbecilic cretin.
Oh, it's right. You're so right.
So-
It's like, this went through my head today. It's like, the numbers, I need to get the numbers on, like, look at a chart of how they've been decreasing, but there must come a point where we don't have a...
I reckon you'll see it chart with austerity and,
Yes,
you know,
course. Yeah, 100%. But
people's
I reckon there must be a point coming
quality
in
of
the
life
future.
dipping.
Yeah, I just thought, like, Starmer's promising boots on the ground, as they call it, but
Where from?
yeah, exactly. He's not going to have any bloody boots. He's only got 147 tanks. He can't. What can we offer? Nothing. Apparently, they're going to need 150,000 troops. Well, we can give him about 10,000 if we're lucky on a good day, and 12 tanks that might just work on a, if it's a sunny day with a breeze behind them. It's all hypothetical.
Oh, look,
bullshit.
I want to sit my son down and...
Yeah. Sorry.
No, go on.
No, it's just like the fact that you're saying is like people just don't want to join the armed forces anymore because
Who the fuck would do any? I mean,
governments
yes.
have been...
Yaxley Lennon got it right if he hadn't spent his entire grifting claiming to be a patriot.
Oh, yeah.
You can't be a patriot and say... You can't say, I'm a patriot, but I won't fight for this country. What you can say is, I'm a citizen of this country who's shat on me for the last 15 years, and you can get fucked.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Frankly, I want to give my son a lecture on conscientious objection, but I don't want to terrify him.
No, I know.
Anyway, back to it.
Forces, effectively, yes.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, politically not easy.
I should know. Have you got numbers about that as yet?
Yeah, we've laid out in a series of press conferences the biggest proposed cuts to welfare spending ever in British history.
But I mean, but how much of that are you going to? Because
You fucking eugenicist imbecile.
Yeah, and we've always said that the minimum 3% is as quickly as possible.
You're already breaking international humanitarian law, fuckface.
We're not in power, and we don't even know when the next election is going to be, although I suspect it won't be 2029.
Let's get question 5.
Okay. I heard
only on
what?
5?
Wait for it.
The curator, but don't worry.
Yeah.
What Ben Wallace said was that spending had fallen under all governments. 3%. The last time, Mr. Speaker, the last time spending was at 3% was under a Conservative government. And yes, while we welcome the increase, something that we supported, can I remind the House that this is a man who sat in the shadow cabinet and tried to make Prime Minister, a man who said we shouldn't even be in NATO at all. So I don't need to take any lectures from him. The world is changing. We need to spend more on defense. He did not answer the question about when we will get to 3%, yet he knows up until 2031 how much he's going to be spending on welfare. He doesn't know. That's in the Red Book. The Red Book has no money allocated for defense. We need to move from ambition to commitment. And Mr. Speaker, this is important because this isn't just about money. If the Prime Minister is deploying troops to Ukraine, those troops need to know that we have their backs.
And there's your problem, dickheads.
Commanders, 7 former SAS commanders warned that Labour's Northern Ireland Troubles Bill will wreck our special forces. Not me, that's the
What's that got to
SAS.
do
It's going global today.
Yeah.
9 retired 4-star generals warned that his bill was a direct threat to national security. And even his own Northern Ireland Veterans Commissioner has said our veterans are being treated worse than terrorists.
Pivotty-tastic.
Speaker, is it not madness to be putting veterans in the dock for serving their country at the same time he is deploying today's soldiers into Ukraine?
What was the question? Was there a question there?
Mr. Speaker, that was embarrassing. She said that Ben Wallace was talking about all the they were in power for 14 years and they followed our armed forces. Copyright Ben Wallace. Secondly, she talks about the shadow cabinet. She has in her shadow cabinet a shadow attorney general who is advising Abramovich at the same time as we are imposing sanctions
Where's this
on
going?
Russia and trying to use that money to support Ukraine. How can someone sit in her shadow cabinet advising someone trying to escape sanctions and pretend that their policy is to support...
He's got a point.
I mean, he's dead on with
Mr.
that. I don't know
Speaker.
where it's come from, but he's dead on
Mr.
with it.
Speaker, when it comes to Northern Ireland, party,
She's trying to make out that he wants to send troops into Ukraine to potentially spark off trouble. Meanwhile, they're prosecuting soldiers for slaughtering Irish people
Yeah.
in Ireland. Not the same fucking thing, because we invaded Ireland
Mhm.
and Ukraine are the invadees. So it's a false equivalence to fucking start with.
It is.
She's just being a knob in every conceivable way. I don't know.
Just trying to rile
who
him
gave
up.
immunity to IRA terrorists. Terrorists who killed British soldiers.
In Ireland, after we invaded them. Just saying.
Our veterans with no legal protection whatsoever. We're introducing a fair and transparent process with a package of rights and protections for our veterans. And Mr. Speaker, there is no equivalence between our armed forces who fought bravely in Northern Ireland and terrorist groups. And if the Leader of the Opposition wants
It's
to
fun to use a terrorist when it suits, isn't it?
fraud legislation and give immunity to the IRA, she should stand up now and say so.
Patrick, this isn't just this week's questions. This is strategy. This is Kemi Badenoch making a pitch for we are the national security guys, we are the army guys.
Yes, indeed.
What?
I don't think it's going hugely well for her, to be honest, for all the reasons. we've
How is
discussed.
that a take?
I mean,
Yeah.
that was a
Yeah.
very, very long question, and it didn't end in the
Horrible.
place that I don't think
It was a car
anyone
crash.
expected it to. And actually, Keir Starmer has quite robust and convincing answers to all of these questions. If not convincing, he can at least, as Nigel said earlier, come back and say, well, what did you do about any of this when you were in power for 14 years? And that is a really difficult thing for her to respond to. Nigel?
Yeah, I think she so often does this. She stands up to ask what you think is going to be a question. Then you get 2 or 3 issues all mixed up together. And in the end, you're not quite sure what she really asked. And look, he's well prepared with his defences.
He's just talking any old
He's
shit,
well
isn't he?
prepared with his defences. I thought the key point she made there was about the SAS, about our special forces. Incidentally, many of whom are in Ukraine already. We saw one killed over the whole.
Look how excited he is about that.
The question
Shouldn't
about
be
the
saying things
SAS,
like that.
the question about
Giving away-
morale of
Well,
special
well,
forces.
I mean, he's right. We only know because one of them died.
Crisis,
Yeah, true.
serious
But they're
crisis that
supposed
we're
to
in.
be secret.
That of itself, I think on its own, might have been quite a good question. But it all gets a bit higgledy-piggledy sometimes. It's almost as if she's so keen to get out there and ask a load of questions that she forgets that simplicity is perhaps a better formula.
Oh,
If
you're
you
simple,
had
son.
2 questions a week like Davey, would that be the formula you went for? So 2 short, sharp.
I think it has to be that. I think if you stand up and try and make a speech, it just doesn't work. I think it's got to be
It's
crisp,
not wrong again.
clear, clean, and it's got to be done within 30 seconds.
And I think Kemi's most successful PMQs have been the ones. I think she's been to handle someone, yeah.
Quite right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Let's get the last of the main questions.
Mr. Speaker, let me start by talking about the Shadow Attorney General. Yes. Yeah. Do they know what the Shadow Attorney General is doing? He is defending veterans pro bono against the actions of this government. On this side of the House, Mr. Speaker, we will defend those who defended us. But why don't we talk about the actual Attorney General who is sitting in Cabinet, the man who defended Jerry Adams, the man who's trying to bring Shamima Begum back into the country, the man who is helping to surrender
The groomed child.
silence. I will take our shadow Attorney General every day of the week against his attorney. Mr. Speaker, we protect our veterans. I want the Prime Minister to know we protect our veterans.
From
What
fuck
he does
all.
to veterans is disgraceful. But this is serious, Mr. Speaker. I don't want the House to be under any illusions. I do not want the House
God,
to
she's
be under any
contemptible.
illusions. The Prime Minister should know that we will absolutely support any efforts to help bring peace to Ukraine. We will work with him to ensure NATO remains the bedrock of our security. But we cannot write a blank check when he is also surrendering the Chagos Islands, surrendering our veterans to lawfare, and surrendering to his backbenchers by prioritizing welfare handouts over defense spending. A simple world has not become more dangerous. So, Mr. Speaker, isn't it time the Prime Minister changed course and for once put the British national interest first?
Wow.
Welfare handouts, please, too.
Talks about the Shadow
Yeah.
Attorney General.
Yeah.
Of course I accept that lawyers have to represent all sorts of clients. Of course I accept that opinion. The question is whether the Shadow Attorney General can sit in the Shadow Cabinet when the party opposite says it supports us on sanctions. We want the money from Chelsea Football Club to go to Ukraine. I'm not sure whether that's her position. If it is her position, presumably it's something they discuss in the Shadow Cabinet, advised by a Shadow Attorney General who is representing the very man whose money we want to send to Ukraine. If she can't see the conflict of interest in that, then she shows no judgment and no leadership at all.
Nigel Farage, who would be your Attorney General?
Oxford
Hang on,
Union,
pause a
that wasn't
second.
it? Oxford Union, all great fun.
So, have you seen what happened with the Shadow Attorney General after PMQs?
No?
When Keir Starmer called him just then, about the conflict of interest, not incest, Jesus. He has recused himself. Not from his role as the lawyer, though. He's recused himself from advising Kemi Badenoch on Ukraine. That's it. He's just gone, oh, well, I won't talk to her about
Whoopie-doo.
Ukraine. Yeah. Not stepped down as Abramovich's legal counsel.
Who is it? I don't even know.
I can't remember his name now. Had it then a second ago, but I'll find
It's
it
not
in a
that
sec.
James Twat, is it?
No, it's Lord Wolfson. That's his name.
Oh, Wilson, yeah.
Yeah. So he instead of doing what he should do is recuse himself from Abramovich, he's recused himself from Kemi Badenoch's Ukraine discussions. That's it. It's fucking pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Sorry. Carry on.
Huh?
Not going to connect with a single member of the Great British public. And that's perhaps one of the problems that Parliament has. I will be making a series of announcements over the course of the coming weeks and couple of months about putting people into various positions. So my answer to you was wait and see.
Literally.
Work in progress.
Oh,
It's literally only 18 months. 18 months ago, when I came back into
oh,
the
shut
whole
up.
game of politics, and it's a work in progress, and you will have all of those answers in good time. It's beginning to happen.
Patrick, I'm not entirely sure what her final question was. What
No,
she was
no,
asking
yeah,
whether he'd
no,
changed
yeah.
course
All
on.
over the place.
And nor do I really have a sense of what their position on the UK peacekeeping force in Ukraine is. It seemed like, she was sort of gesturing towards the position Nigel set out at the start of this, which was, can't vote blank check, probably would vote against it, but she didn't quite say that. And I'm sort of none the wiser as to what the Tory position is at the end of this. I think Keir Starmer, after being kicked around by it, frankly, at the end of last year, can leave PMQs today thinking, it wasn't a disaster. Actually, he put in a pretty creditable performance there.
Do you put that as a score draw or points?
Score draw, points, Starmer wins on points, I'd say.
Yeah, that
I
makes
think that's probably fair. Look, stick with us in a moment. We're going to have
And that's how seriously they take it.
This is Hugo Rifkin here on Times Radio.
Oh, hang on. I'm going to have to fast forward a bit because.
No, is it adverts?
Yeah.
questions in Parliament because you'd like to be Prime Minister. What sort of questions do you think you might have been asked recently?
Sorry.
Says many things as you like, Petal.
Thank you. Yeah, I saw various people talking about it on Twitter, as I do. Dan Hodges obviously was like, "Oh, Badenoch's got him, pinned him down." But Lewis Goodall, who we were bigging up a minute ago, said on LBC this afternoon, "Oh, Badenoch really had him on the ropes today." Like, don't think you watched it, did you? So, that was horrendous. That was so long. I've got a newfound respect for you sitting through that shit every week and making notes.
This is the third time I'm sitting through it. I watched it properly, then I watched this first before I watched it with you. No. And I'm just like, do you know what? I think if we hadn't have chosen to have done this week, I might just have sacked it off and talked to you about it generally, because it was it's exhausting.
That was interminable. It was so long and drawn out from both of them. But her,
and pointless.
Yeah, her just asking kind of nonsense questions and him rambling on for 10 minutes afterwards. That was horrible. Yeah, it was really grim.
They're unserious people.
Yeah, indeed.
You've been Prime Minister.
Oh, God.
Last couple of months.
They'd asked me about allegations from when I was 13. They'd have asked me
13 to 18?
No, I deny that totally.
Really?
Yeah, totally. And some of the things that were said were complete fantasy land. I was just ridiculous stuff I have no recognition of at all. Was there aggressive banter? Was there winding up of left-wing teachers? Did all that stuff go on?
Who wrote reports at the time?
Yes, but some of what was said was ridiculous. I'd have been asked about that clearly in PMQs, but, that stuff doesn't go very far. I mean, what people want to know is where do you stand today on something? Yeah, and what do you intend to do tomorrow?
I want to ask you about that stuff, because that stuff is important. I don't think I could have you sitting in the studio without asking you about it. The allegations were that you hissed gas noises at Jewish people.
Absolutely.
That you told black people to go back to Africa. These directly allegations that you deny.
Completely untrue. The go back to Africa was made by a kid who was 10 in the last year that I was there, who I'd never even met.
You didn't hiss the gas noises. Because this is not... quite a few people have said this.
No, well, of course they have. If you're leader of the Lib Dem group in the West Country or a former leader of Conservative Council, lost your seat.
Here's negating to mention he's a pathological liar.
I mean, you've got safety in numbers to say what you like. Yeah. I deny.
I mean, I'm Jewish. People didn't speak to me like that at school. If they had done, I hope they wouldn't have done so twice. There's also been criticism from the Jewish community that, aside from denying it, you also don't necessarily seem to have taken it all that seriously.
Well, don't take lies seriously. I never have.
You just say, I mean, your position is purely and simply lies.
On the Jewish community, if you want to talk about that, I generally don't try and segment. But if you look at my political career, I've had the most enormous support from prominent members of the Jewish community in this country.
Bryce,
Israeli. All the way through my career.
Yeah.
Jewish.
Sure.
Israeli.
Literally Jewish-ish. Yeah, Trojan zebras.
If you're saying this didn't happen, you're not saying...
How long have I been in public life? 30 years.
Too fucking long.
30 years.
Yeah, way too long.
I've been leader of political parties for best part 20.
Yeah.
I have been recorded. I have been scrutinised.
Not enough.
Probably more than anybody on the current political scene.
Bullshit.
And I don't think you've found anybody who's known me over the course of the last 30 years.
Sure, but
that I've worked with that would ever say anything like this.
That's not the allegation.
I also don't believe that anything any other party leader said nearly half a century ago would come under this level of scrutiny.
Well, I mean, but you can either deny it and say...
School reports, Nigel.
The point is, though, that these aren't going to go away if and when you are...
they will go away.
Why will they go away?
Because they're not true. They can't be proved.
They won't.
And we've got more important things to talk about than what people might have done age 13.
Patrick, what do you think? Do you think they're going to go away?
Look, I think that there are clearly people out there who are uncomfortable about reform's rise in British politics.
Fuck you.
Whom reform represents that kind of politics, regardless
Post-truth,
of the allegations either way. So, look, there will always be people who want
journalism's dead
about.
No, that's for sure. Yeah.
So those are, I think, it's going to be a rolling accusation. I think whether it has any material impact on the polls is another question. I personally, looking at the data, don't necessarily think it has. And I think the strategic question for reform now, obviously looking over the next year, is consolidate it 30%. How do you get to 35%? How do you get to 40%?
You don't.
I guess the jury's
off a one-man band, dickhead.
Stories like this and how Nigel responds to them are making that easier or harder. What do you think, Nigel?
No, that's a fair point. I mean, I think, we kind of have reached this 30% level. We've been there for some time. By the way, a number that would have been unimaginable this time last year. So I'm not too unhappy about where we are. You're right. How do we get to 35%? How do we do that?
Right.
My suspicion, my feeling is that what is happening 4 months today, on May the 7th, will be the defining moment of politics this year, in the sense that will Keir Starmer survive as Prime Minister? Will Kemi Batt not be the Conservative leader? Because if she has a good May the 7th, she'd be there at the next general election. And similarly, my position and the potential of reform being seen as having the ability to win the next general election will, to some extent, be determined by how we do on May the 7th. So that, for me, who knows?
So these are important for your future as well.
Of course. Of course. They're important for all of us. And they may the result of these elections may well shape how we see the next general election.
I want to ask you, one quick question about the school thing, because I have to say I've had a lot of messages from people online saying, "How can you have this man in the studio as a Jew? He has to Jews." Now I understand your absolute denial of that, and I have to take that at face value. But people are going to keep saying this, and one would think there is going to have to be a point where you have to address this.
Maybe in London. Maybe those that live in London and the upper middle classes will. I don't think the real country will. They're more worried about other things.
Understood. Well, let's get our questions from the backbenchers. The first one we have is from Rachel Maskell. She's the Labour MP for York Central. She's also a serial rebel. Let's hear her question.
Serial rebel.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Having met with many independent business owners, they fear the cumulative impact of the rateable value revision and relief reductions. In York, hospitality sees an average business rate rise of 41%, a music venue 44.4%, and many independent shops increases around 27%. It will mean doors closing and trade ceasing. They just can't do it. So could the Prime Minister urgently review the business rate proposals, and will he ensure a minister or official attends my business rate summit at the end of January, as I want to avert a crisis on York's High Street?
Thank you for raising that issue. As she knows, during COVID, the rates went down, and that was coming to an end. And that's why we put in place interim relief as we move to the new rates. Mr. Speaker, we are continuing to work with...
She's somewhere today.
On that.
Can you see her?
The support and action.
Yeah.
We can tell you.
Nigel, you're a fan of the hospitality industry.
No, she did fuck all, but she's there.
Labour does seem to be in real trouble over this.
Yeah, she asks a very good question, but I would say it's not just business rates. Important though that is, it's a whole variety of other taxes and regulations. Take gambling taxes. To think of our high streets, they are dominated by bookmakers and charity shops. I promise you in a year's time, most of those bookmakers will be gone.
Good!
Because of recent changes on gambling taxes in this budget.
There's nothing to be gained.
Horse racing and football betting it's either going to the black market or it's mostly going abroad.
He's such a terrible human being.
Just because it's become so uncompetitive and so difficult here.
Hang on, pause a sec.
The pub industry in particular, in desperate trouble, but
So the question was about business rates for shops. She didn't mention pubs, which is something that's worse than the shops. But Farage's response is lobbying on behalf of bookies. Interesting.
I didn't pick up on that. But yeah, good spot.
Carry on.
No.
Remember, not just business rates, but what's happened. Think about, I don't know whether your first job was in a pub, but for millions of people. Well, there you are. Now, you were 18 or 19 or whatever
50.
you were. 50. Yeah, or younger.
It was Scotland, to be fair.
Yeah, but point is, young people get those jobs, right? And now, you've had so for a 15-year-old...
I've seen where his dad lives.
The increase in minimum wage over the last year has been over 20%. And... if they do more than really part-time work, the employer now has national insurance kicking in at £5,000 a year. So what you've got is a whole cocktail. You have different taxes kicking in at the same time. So fair question of hers. And if we are going to save the pub, well, the last thing we need to do is to reduce the alcohol limit that we've had since 1967, which will literally be the death knell of every rural pub in Britain.
Don't be making the roads safer. Pubs will close.
Hang on. Stop. Did he
really said that.
Is he talking about drink driving?
He doesn't want to reduce the limit to 0 because it'll finish off the pubs.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, safety first, Nige. Well done. Fucking hell. Let's make the bookies richer and make people drive more. Yeah, good stuff.
Thing
Wow.
for the Labour government to be doing, because regardless of anything Nigel gets wrong, of anything that might hurt reform, Labour is quite consistently taking the wrong side on decisions over taxing and spending about the economy as most normal people understand it, i.e. their high streets, small businesses, local businesses, the tax penalties for sole traders and the self-employed. And if you listen to people when they talk about the state of politics, they always talk about my high street. Used to be bustling, now it's not. And for Labour to be blamed by the hospitality industry for closing restaurants and pubs, I think is really, really dangerous.
Well, I think we can squeeze in one more question. There's usually a question from Labour backbenchers about Reform UK.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Who's to say whether or not the Labour whips have anything to do with it? Here's the Labour MP, Bill Esterton.
I'm very pleased to hear that the government's latest announcement about the rollout of the chickenpox vaccine. This, of course, is in stark contrast to the vaccine
No, have we lost that?
Oh, what happened?
I think he was going to say something about vaccine.
He went on.
Say, Nigel.
Oh,
We lost that.
Oh, because we had one of Robert.
No, I'm not going to say that. What all I'm going to say is that they cut the question off. Bill Esterton went on specifically to target reform on their anti-vax business, and he give him this one due. Answered as though they'd heard the full question, which he might have done because they had this on delay. So he did tackle it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Let me know what you think of his response.
Yes.
Kennedy's, the American health boss, because we had one of his advisors, senior advisors actually, speak at our conference, a Brit actually, a Seymour Holtra, expressing very sceptical views about the COVID vaccine, that somehow we're part of some grand conspiracy. Not true. Not true. All my kids have been vaccinated. I believe in vaccinations when they're vaccinations. I don't think what happened with COVID were vaccinations, because you have to keep having them every 6 months. So that's a very different debate. But what is interesting is
that's also not
there
true.
were two Kent MPs who got to ask 6 questions.
What, that you have to have them every 6 months?
2 months. And 5 of those 6 questions were about reform-led Kent County Council. And the whole thing's becoming a complete charade. Yes, you were right earlier to say that governments often do get favourite backbenchers to ask questions. By the way, Bill Esterton, another regular.
Sure, for sure.
You're down to about 5 Labour MPs.
It's not wrong on that, actually.
Of course, the last year,
and
a chance to ask
and I only know that because he's local.
Let's hear the PM's answer to the question, which was, as you suggest.
Yeah, of course.
The part of the measures we're able to announce that this week. Of course, that comes on top of the 5 million extra appointments that we've delivered in the first year of the Labour government. Having 300,000 taken off the waiting list, and more to come as we turn the...
Yeah, taken off the waiting list. They won't give him fucking appointment.
Absolutely right. They laugh at the denial of the importance of vaccines. Imagine where this country would be if they ever saw power. And if you want an example, or to be like, look at the local councils where they want power. They're absolutely chaotic, in a mess, and putting taxes up.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, it's just the usual setup, knockdown, nonsense.
It's not nonsense, it's factually accurate.
Absolutely
and we get no chance.
Lies!
Lies! And it's sad to say, that for reform, Parliament is becoming an even harder place to be.
Good.
You go, Nigel. You've
excellent.
You've been running high in the polls.
It's not,
dipped a little
to
bit.
make it
Do you
easy
have
for
that
you,
concern
dickhead?
that some people are expressing that this might have been as good as it gets?
We're up this week. Every single poll this week's had us up.
No,
and I was going to ask Nigel, in 2026,
no,
listening to
the one that was registered at Reform's address, they were up.
Savanta
conference, you know, the antics of some of your councillors and candidates. Is there not a case that actually part of the problem with reform is that sometimes you make it a little bit too easy, not you personally, or sometimes you personally, for the Prime Minister to come back and say, actually, you know, I know there might be a small part of your mind that is questioning.
Who is this clown? I swear to God. He needs firing into the sun.
You're going to need to find, what, 400, 600 candidates?
Since May the 1st, we've lost 42 councillors for a variety of reasons. The Tories have lost 180, and Labour have lost over 200. 3 for very, very serious sexual grooming.
Yeah, but all of yours have gone because of serious problems. That's the difference. Every single one of them has been up to naughtiness
So what you've actually got now
of varying degrees.
is a debate taking place with Parliament at the middle of it that is not a debate of equals. Of course, I'm going to have wrong uns. You're in any walk of life.
Good.
You know, if we put up 5,
You're the ultimate wrong un, man.
Although the messages I'm getting now are that the council elections could be much bigger than we thought they would be, just since this programme began. But you know, if it's treated fairly, fine. We will be held every single day between now and the next election to a different standard to everybody else. I know that. I know it's going to be tough, but I also know there's a growing number of people in Britain who genuinely think Britain is broken, needs a fresh approach, and that's what we're going to try and provide.
You're going to have to find a lot of MPs as well. Is there a limit to the number of Tories you're prepared to let in?
I will have Tories if they add. I'm currently talking to an ex-Labour MP who I think is going to join in the next couple of weeks. We've had Labour activists, independents at county level, local, borough level too. I'll have Conservatives if they add. If for them it's a way of prolonging their career, I won't.
When's your next lunch with Robert General?
When did I last have lunch with Robert General?
Well, I don't know.
Well, there you are. There you are, a very long time ago.
We've got to leave it there. Patrick Maguire, thank you. Nigel Farage, thanks very much for being with us. Look, we're going to be doing our quiz in a moment. I understand you've promised to come back.
So that's all she wrote.
And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Nigel Farage lied his way through PMQs. Well, that's interesting, isn't it?
It is a better way of doing PMQs, though.
Yeah. Oh, was that a hint?
Just saying it might be worth revisiting that. I mean, I could do it on my own, I suppose, but it's better than sitting there writing and pausing and...
Yeah. No, that's all right. I don't mind doing that. As long as it's
Could
not
rethink
Farage
it.
every week. Yeah.
Well,
so
no.
They cut out the Lib Dem 2 questions, which...
Yeah, Ed Davey went in on...
Didn't he go
I want to say Venezuela. It was, Greenland, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Trump issue, yeah.
Yeah.
But I can't recollect what happened, to be honest.
Well, when I edit this, I'll put up some notations on the screen for each lie, and I'll put the fact next to it because, you know...
Clever.
He bullshitted his way through that completely, didn't he? As he does with everything.
Yeah, well, it's what he does, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's his MO.
It's completely standard practice for him, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
So should we do a general news record tomorrow?
Yeah, we can do. Yeah, tomorrow's okay for me. Yeah, let's do normal.
Okay, so then it's still 1 and 2, isn't it? And this.
I'll try and edit this.
You know what
morning. I mean? Hopefully I can. And then well, let's do a normal standard record for tomorrow and get that out Friday as per usual.
Can we say 6? What's good for you tomorrow?
Yeah, it's fine. 6.
Okay. Awesome.
No worries on that. So
well, that was fun.
Shall we say goodbye to everybody?
Oh yeah, good point.
We're still live. Just chatting away. Not live. Recording.
Yeah.
So thanks everyone for listening.
Yeah, thanks for staying with us. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was weird.
Please like, share, subscribe, and help us to find donations so that we can do this professionally.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Everyone now must appreciate what Sal goes through every week to bring you her PMQs roundup every single week as well. So we've just.
Well, it's do you know what? It is nicer with company.
Yeah.
Much I can assure you. When I'm on my own, it's interminable.
Right, on that note, let's wrap it up and say see you in a couple of days.
See you tomorrow. Yeah. Bye.
Yeah. Ciao.